All right, joining us now, she's back at DePaul. She's the new head coach, was introduced recently. Of course, was a Hall of Fame player at DePaul, led them, has been to the World Series as a player and as an assistant coach, and now leading the program. Bouck-Jagielski joining us here at In the Circle D1 Softball. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I mean, we're busy over here building buildings at DePaul, getting recruits on campus, and we're excited about the future here.
Yeah, I know it's a crazy time there. Let's talk about what led you to come back and feel to take over the program as a head coach, because you had been, you're just coaching at Roosevelt, you'd been coaching the high school level. What was it about it that obviously it's your alma mater, but what was it that you decided to get back in the college game?
The college game to me has always been a part of me. So after raising my 5 kids, they're old enough to kind of be on their own. And I was like, I'm ready to go. I want to win national championships. I love recruiting. I love making kids better. So being in Chicago, being able to drive there each day, the energy to me, it just defines and makes me who I am.
When you found out the job was open, did you feel you had a chance? Just take me through this process. It's a unique process. I know I talked to your AD about it, but what, how did it kind of play out? Because it's one thing to, hey, maybe I could be the head coach, but it's another thing, do I have a chance?
Oh my goodness, this is actually a pretty funny story. So Dwayne sent a text out to everybody that there was that the job was opening. So I thought it was just to me, of course. So I'm like, I want this job. So I texted him back immediately saying, hey, I'm in. So after that process, poor Dwayne, I was beating down his door. I mean, this was a big job. It's a great job. It's in Chicago. You're in the Big East. There was a ton of competition. I had to fight for it, which is great for DePaul and for the kids. There were so many quality people that wanted this. And for them to pick me to lead this is a total honor. So I'm definitely looking forward to building it where it was. Midwest players are important to me. Grabbing pieces nationally to help us really define that blue DePaul grit is a big, big thing moving forward.
What was your message once you found out you got the job and you got to meet the team and talk to the players? What was the message you gave them?
The message is we're moving forward. It doesn't matter what's happened in the past. We're moving forward. So we have a great tradition, yes, to build on, but there's positives and negatives in everyone's past. How do we move on from here? How do we think about positive things? How do we get better? It was my messaging to them that you don't have to look about how we failed. It's always like, how can we get better? How can we move on? So they were bought in. They're ready to go. They're inspired. They gave me game plans on how they're going to get better. We have a recruit that my first day of work, we had a recruit on campus. She committed today. So we're moving. We're moving and grooving.
We're going fast. I like that. When you got offered the job, what went through your mind? Was it emotional? Was it what was your emotions like when you were offered the job?
I mean, just almost like just taking in all that history, all those memories of playing. When I walked into the office, the head coach's office, I had tears in my eyes because I remember all those meetings, talking about game plan. How are we going to beat Alabama on our home field? How are we going to beat Oklahoma? I remember the meeting, we went to Oklahoma and we beat them twice to go to a World Series on their home field after not being beat the whole entire season. That's one of a huge memory of being the underdog and always coming out on top that I want our kids to remember in our history. That no one thought we were going to win those games, and we did.
Yeah, I believe that was '07 when you knocked off Oklahoma. Was that the year? Yeah, that was
Yes.
that's pretty remarkable. How has DePaul changed as a university since you last coached at DePaul as an assistant coach back in 2011? How has it changed? I know you've been following it closely as an alum. How has it changed now over the years as a university?
As a university, it's the building was very good to me. Like the remodeling, the updating, everybody's fully funded, having the vision of building more facilities years down the road, having an NLI department that supports the kids, having a marketing department that helps get them on the stage, as much press as they need. Even the announcement of the job when I got there, I couldn't believe the marketing that they did to get the name out. And I had a ton of recruits reaching out because of it. So it's just the support staff that they have is fantastic there.
What was it like now that you're back? You've been back on campus. Is it that did you have flashbacks to your playing and coaching days prior? Is it feel different? How does it feel to be back on campus, literally now? I know you just started, but now this is going to become a frequent thing. You being on campus.
Yeah, again, funny you asked that. So I was walking up the stairs from the field up into the offices, and I had a flashback of being totally winded as a player, hardly being able to walk up those stairs, opening up the door to go lift. And then I also had the feeling of big wins of us coming off those fields, going up those doors, losses. It was really emotional. But I mean, it was pretty vivid memories that were coming up as I'm walking up these stairs that, look like they're just gray stairs. So DePaul means a lot to me. It gave me a lot in my life. It helped me with the recruiting education that I did when I was done coaching there. Like hundreds of players have gone on to play at the college level, and I'm proud of that. And now that I'm back coaching, I'm now in it to win it. Now I want those recruits on my campus helping me win, helping me get to the next level.
You mentioned the alumni, that you wanted them involved in your press conference. Why did you specifically highlight the alumni? I know you have a big alumni, but talk about you made a point to bring that up in your press conference. What led you to do that?
Well, the alumni built this program. So my sister actually played at DePaul before I did. She went to the World Series in '99 when they finished third. And the alumni base is what made it. We had so many people in the stands cheering us on. And even though everybody else in the nation thought we couldn't do it, they believed we did. And they encouraged us to believe that we could do it. And then we did it the following year. So having an understanding of your past is important. Who picked up the glass on which field so they could play? Who took ground balls off the chest, off wood floors in a Chicago gym to get us to where we are at now? That's the alumni. And they wrote a ton of letters for me to get this job. They had backing. I had so much backing from the alumni saying, hey, we support you. We have you. And during the process, I never thought I could lose, because at minimum, I had all these connections that I have made with my friends, even if I didn't get the job. So to me, it was a win-win. I got connected with the alumni, and if I get the job, great. If I didn't, at worst, I got connected with friends from over 10 years ago.
The sense I got in the press conference and with AD, Dwayne, and yourself is your recruiting of knowing the area, how to recruit the area. You coached in the high school level, so you have a good idea of the level and how important that is for DePaul to keep their local players. Was that something you highlighted a lot as you went through the process and talking like, hey, I know the talent level in this region, in this market, I could bring these players to DePaul, and maybe that offsets maybe any concerns you have of me not being a head coach in the Division I level before.
Right. So the recruiting is what makes it or break it. We all know this. Like identifying kids early is going to be a big deal to be able to defeat awesome teams that are even within the Midwest. So I have my pulse on sixth graders, seventh graders. I have 5 kids. So I sit at the games. I know their friends. I know the areas. I know Iowa. I know Indiana. I know Wisconsin. Those are going to be big, big deals moving forward. And the coaches know me. So they know I'm going to take care of their kids when they're on campus. Sorry, I just got to plug this in quick, hand.
Sure.
Here we go. But the coaches in the area know I'm going to take care of their kids. So I have so many travel ball coaches off top bandits, Lady Louisville Sluggers, Iowa Premier, those types of teams that hopefully those kids are coming back in the door.
I want to kind of start at the beginning, how you ended up at DePaul. You mentioned your sister, I believe Tammy's you talking about, played there. Yeah. A great player herself. In fact, you come from a family of rich athletes. Your sister played softball there at DePaul. Your brother played baseball. And then your dad played baseball and football. So you had to play a sport, right? Like it was destiny.
Right. Right. It's funny, like when they used to send the NLIs, I just was running out the door. My mom's like, "Can you sign this quick?" I just signed it and I ran out the door to go hang out with my friends. Like I didn't even understand how big of a deal it was because it was kind of expected in our family. That's just kind of what we did. Tammy went to DePaul. Liz, you're going to DePaul. Okay. So I just was like, okay, I'll go play. And the culture over there was great. I'm big into family, so I wanted to stay close to home. So it worked out perfect.
Describe for those that didn't get to see you play the kind of player you were.
I would say that I'm a spitfire. So you don't want to probably run across me in an alley when I'm in a bad mood. That would be how I but I have a super high energy, but when I'm serious about something, as Dwayne will tell you, our athletic director, I take it. Like if I want something, I got to go take it. And that's how I want my players to be. If you believe you can make an impact and you can make a difference, go take it. No one's going to give it to us. We got to go out there and we got to fight for it. And that's kind of the mentality I'm going to try to get to the kids that we get on DePaul.
Well, it worked out for you well. You got to the World Series. 2000, you were an All-American in '02. You were a CUSA Player of the Year. And obviously that's one of the many reasons you're in the Hall of Fame there. I would imagine Coach Jagielski would have liked Liz Bouck, the player. That would have gone along well.
Our coaches did a great job really getting us in battle mode. We used to play a game 21 outs, where our coaches would fire ground balls at us 1,000 miles an hour, and we would have to get 21 outs in a row that were perfect. And I was a freshman playing second base, and our coach would hit them so hard from 16 to 21, and I would boot it for like the first 20 minutes of practice. You have all your teammates like, "Oh, is she going to get the ball again?" And, finally I got it. And then in the World Series, I was able to deal with that pressure playing. And at that time I played shortstop. So that type of pressure was the coaches preparing us for it. And that's why I was able to really like bear down and be able to accomplish things in pressure situations.
Was coaching always part of the plan, or were you talked into coaching? How did coaching get into your picture? You would obviously stay at DePaul and join the staff afterwards, but was that something that you wanted to do? Was that something you were talked into? How did coaching get into the picture?
So coaching, I got drafted to Arizona right out of college, and then I got traded to Texas. So I played in Texas, and then the job opened up where the head coach at Loyola, who is now at Wisconsin, Yvette Healy, he went over to Loyola and opened up a spot for slapping coach right when I was transitioning out of playing. So you gave me the chance to be on staff at that time we were ranked top 10 in the country. So to give somebody with no experience, you're the first base coach, you're calling defenses in a World Series. That kind of opportunity does not come along unless you have people that trust you. So I'm so thankful again for DePaul. They gave me that opportunity right out of college with no experience.
That's unbelievable. That's kind
Yeah.
of wild. That's wild. I did not know that part of the story there. And of course, Yvette Healy. It's like I always love the Midwest connections here. Every coach seems to be
Mm-hmm.
connected in some form. You mentioned you got drafted. You played professionally, the Texas Thunder and the Chicago Bandits. And that's significant because I believe with the Bandits, you played with a young lady, a talented player by the name of Megan Bartlett.
Yeah, Megan and me, she's my kind of player when we played. I mean, she's feisty, she brings energy. She was a big, big help to me getting this job as well. Reaching out to the AD saying, I know her personally. I know she's going to work hard for this and fight for this. So teammates like that. I mean, even Marissa Young, Marissa at Duke, I played with her in Texas. You have Trina Peel. I mean, I don't know their married name now. She's coaching. It's just even Z at Oklahoma, which is now at Texas. She was a teammate of mine. So
Oh, that's right.
I have,
Kristen Zaleski was there. That's right.
right. Yes. So having these type of mentors that are friends of yours, that was big in taking this head coaching job because I knew if I didn't know how to do something, I could make a call to Bonnie Thole from Michigan, who's going to help me. I could call Megan at Arizona State. All these people would help me because they know who I am. and they know that my inspiration for doing this is to make DePaul better. I want us to get back to a national stage.
And what I would imagine too, it's somebody who could pick their brains as far as the head coaching job itself, correct?
Absolutely. I mean, they've been so successful. And what inspires me the most about them is they've done this with families. They've done this like raising kids themselves. They're, a boss at work and they're a boss at home. And I told them those two jobs are so important because you're molding the future. And to see them out there on Duke at a world series, doing as good as they are, and Megan doing it with her two little kids inspired me to take the job. I would have never taken it if I didn't see these role models doing it before me.
Wow, that speaks volumes. And I know Coach Bartlett's excited for you. Called you one of the best evaluators and recruiters in the talent. That's got to mean a lot. That's a Division I head coach who's been to the World Series, an assistant. She's pretty good evaluator herself, and that's pretty high praise.
Yeah, and it's emotional even you telling me that when she says that, because the strength that they've given me with that support is what helps excel anyone. So I'm trying to take all those things to give back to my team. Look, you just need your teammate next to you telling you could do it, that you can do this, you can move on, you can move forward. And you go so much further than you could ever imagine. I would have never thought a month ago that I would be sitting at the head coaching job of DePaul University. And today, I believe that I can take it back because I have people around me that believe I can. And now I'm inspiring kids to now believe in the process. That's why we have kids on campus. We have 2 more recruits on campus this week that we're hoping to close the deal. So people are reaching out, and not only reaching out, they're coming on campus. And once you come on DePaul's campus, you're sold. Lincoln Park is a beautiful area. It has a ton to do. It has a ton of internship opportunities. We're in a building phase. You're supported. And plus, you'd be playing for me, right?
That's
So
right.
why not?
That works. And so you've been there and done that. You've been to the World Series as a player. You've been to the World Series twice as an assistant. How do you compare those experiences at being in the World Series as a coach versus as a player?
As a player, you're just there, just enjoying the experience. You're so excited. You really don't even know what's happening the first time you go there. It's just the lights everywhere, the media. And the media wasn't as big at the time when I went. I think they just televised probably like the last 3 games. But now, when I was there as a coach, you're preparing 22 kids. You're preparing them and you're living through every at bat. So you're exhausted by the end of the game because every single strike the kid takes, you're living it with them. So that was big, seeing them succeed at that stage. It's almost like a proud mom moment when you're sitting at first base, seeing them get a big hit or making a great defensive play. It just makes you really proud. Very, very inspiring to be in that position.
As you begin this process of building your team, for the players that are returners, how much do you look back and see what they did, or how much of it is what can you do moving forward? How do you balance that out as a head coach?
I think you have to be honest with each player. Players want honesty, so there's no beating around the bush. I'm very direct. Okay, this is what I see. This is where I see you now. You show me where you could be in the future, because I'm always giving kids a chance. So if you're a player on my team, you never have to ask me about playing time because I'm always going to be reevaluating. I never have a set lineup. As long as you are trying to get better, to me, I'm watching and practice every single day. I never have a set lineup. So when players have hope, they work hard. When they lose hope and they don't see a lineup changing, or if they're doing things in practice, that's when the culture starts to get bad. So for me, the players need to know and understand that I'm in it with them. I'm not going to just go make you run the mile. I'm going to run it with you. I'm not going to just go make you take that at bat. I'm going to live that at bat with you. So knowing they have that support will help them hopefully go a lot further than they thought they could go.
How much, once you get your players in there and you get to know them and they get to know you, what do you want the identity of DePaul softball to look like for people that will tune in to watch DePaul softball?
Gritty, we never die. We're always going to be there. You don't want to play us in postseason. We're tough. We play fast. I like moving offenses. I like tough defense and kids that are just going to be on board and know, hey, we lost the game. We're going to come back and win. We lost against Stanford. Okay. This is a hilarious story. We got our butts kicked against Stanford. I think we lost by 18 runs in the tournament. And our head coach was just saying, like, you know what? That team is going to be in the World Series this year. That's the team we need to be. And guess what? We were in the World Series. That's the year we went to the World Series. So it's just funny how that stuff works.
Wow.
We got pounded. You would have, in a million years, like, DePaul was not going to be in contention this year. And we ended up going because we battled back and we fought.
It's unbelievable. What year was that you that happened?
I
Was
think
it
that was 2005.
Oh, the 05?
2005, I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing, though, to kind of overcome. Sometimes when you lose that bad, that could mess you up psychologically. But you were able to put that in the back burner. That's a heck of a story to tell.
Right. And, the other crazy thing is that, in 2005, we go to a World Series. We have injuries in between. So I don't even think we made it to the tournament that year. And then the next year we come back for the World Series. So when I look at that, that means that a couple players make a big difference. And that's what I want my team to believe. A couple players make a big difference. We don't have to have this be some huge, 3-4 year process. If we get the right players in the door, we can make an immediate impact. Not saying that will happen, but why not?
For sure.
I guess it's always like, why not? Why can't the dream be big for us?
Well, you saw just recently, JMU get to the World Series 2021. Villanova, the defending champs of the Big East, got to the regional final in Fayetteville. The Big East has been a scrappy team, a league that's gotten starting to get more respect. Villanova's become the consistent 3 seed. What your thoughts on the Big East as it is now? Connecticut's been good. It's still a very strong league with some good coaches there that I know, in talking to the coaches in the league, their goal is to be a multi-bid league at some back like it used to be back in the days when you were playing there.
Right. And, I saw them out recruiting this weekend, some of the Big East teams, and we got to chat a little bit. And the stronger the Big East is, the better we all are. So they're even helping me, look for the right hires, look for the right recruits, helping me in support. So that tells you alone, if the Big East is united and we get better, it helps all of us because then we get at large bids. So we're all going to work together to be the best we can be. The competition, the RPI for all of us, like playing competitive teams outside of our conference, is going to be big for us to lift the Big East up. Those are all just factors of it, but teamwork. And it seems from the coaches that I met out there this weekend, that they're on board with teamwork. So I'm ready to go.
You mentioned in the presser, I think you highlighted it to one of the media people that asked about your coaching experience, that you coached the defense at DePaul at the World Series, and that. I always felt, at least growing up, when I thought of DePaul softball, defense came up first. So I guess you get credit for that. when I'm giving you credit.
Not all the credit, but our head coach worked a ton with the defenses too, but he was more on board with the pitch calling at that time. He obviously managed everything still, but I called the defenses off the pitches. So they would call the pitch, I would shift the defense, and we just had a clockwork system that really worked because we were players of his. So being a player of his, transitioning into a coach, it just moved forward like we wanted it to. But having that experience it was big. So not knowing that on the outside looking in, like, she's been an assistant coach. No, I've been an assistant coach calling defenses at a World Series that many coaches, have not had the opportunity to do, which I'm thankful for, because of the opportunities I've been given by DePaul. Those players helped me get into a position that I had that experience now that I can move that into a head coaching role.
Well, and that's a great point because, your friend Megan Bartlett, when she went to Texas as an assistant, she ran the defense when they got to the World Series, which led her eventually to get the Arizona State job. Chelsea Spencer was the assistant, and now the head coach at Cal runs the defense, is regarded as one of the best. So there is a defensive coaches in softball do become head coaches. That is consistently across the board. It's not just a softball thing, but it is. I thought it was a great point you brought up there. My question is, as you built your staff, Will you run the defense? Will you bring somebody else to run? How do you see yourself from a style standpoint as a head coach? Will you kind of assign things to different coaches? How do you envision that?
So I envision that more being the assistant role. So like Abby Ramirez, who is awesome, which is crazy. I gave her lessons when she was 10 years old and now she's my assistant coach. So I mean, I remember giving lessons to her older sister and I looked at her in the cage when she was little and I told her dad, I'm like, that kid's gonna be good. So I got a good eye because she went to Michigan and she is an MVP of Athletes Unlimited, but she's gonna probably run the defense while I handle more of like the whole on-field approach. Not that I won't give my input, but I 100% trust her to be effective in doing that job.
That's tremendous there. Did you help Megan out when she took over at Texas running the defense? Did she pick your brain there? Because she did pretty good. Because I always knew her more as an offensive player, but I didn't know the defensive side of her. But
Yeah, she was fantastic.
yeah, no, she's amazing. All right, I'll let you go on a last couple things. What is going to be the key to building DePaul back to where you wanted it to be? What are some things that you will have to do to bring DePaul back to where you want it to be?
I have to get people to buy in. Number one, I need a good pitching staff that's gonna be able to pitch by committee. You know, we can't pitch by a one arm anymore. We need an effective pitch caller that's gonna look at the strengths of each pitcher in our staff. And I need to move the defense on other teams. I need speed. These arms are 70 miles an hour overhand. I need to create holes. So the more speed I get, the better we're going to be. And the more pitchers that I get that can pitch by committee and are bought into that system, we're gonna turn heads once we get that all in line.
There's always steps in the process. For the next few months, what's one thing or two? Obviously, you're going to recruit, build your staff. Those are the obvious things. But I would imagine, building relationships with the roster is good. What are a couple things that are keys to all of that between now and, say, fall ball and getting to know everybody? Because I know talking to coaches, chemistry is just as important to helping have success on the field.
Right. So we actually just had our team meetings and we were laughing because I was super excited to tell them that we're going to be running the mile. I'm like, we're going to be running the mile. It's going to be great. We're going to run to the lake. We're going to go play sand football. And they're like, mile? I'm like, no, it's going to be fun. So, little things like that. Let's run the mile. Let's go down to the lake. Let's go to Lincoln Park Zoo. Let's go get coffee together. Let's compete together. That's what's going to bring us together. And for them to believe that I believe in them is gonna be probably the biggest thing. Like, I have your back. I'm here, I'm stable, I'll be your rock. I'll take the losses on my back. You take the wins is kind of how I am as a coach.
That's a good message. Take the pressure off of them. Like, say, hey, you're not, let me take care of the brunt of anything that doesn't go well. You just play.
Yep. And that's what I want them to believe is that, they have all the credit and I'll be the rock that takes the rest. So I have no problem doing that for them because softball is a tough sport, as we know. And the more I can clear their mind to make it positive, the better we're going to get.
Well, that's exciting. Well, Coach, I know it's a busy time. You're running right 100 miles an hour, doing a lot of different things, but you've taken the time to talk to me for a few minutes here and get to know you and get to let our audience know a little bit about you as well. Congrats coming back to DePaul, taking over the program, and thanks for talking to us here and In the Circle, and hope to talk to you again down the road.
All right. Thanks again. Go DePaul.